Who's ready to learn about some AI? Yeah? All right, cool. So, as he said, my name is Marcus McGehee. I'm the founder of the AI Consulting Lab, and I am extremely, extremely grateful to be here to speak to you today. I have a lot of stuff to talk about. I like to use the phrase, give the value, sell the execution, as he said. So a lot of AI gurus, digital marketing gurus, things like that, will dangle little treats and not actually tell you how to do stuff that's valuable. I'm going to give you a ton of information. Okay? So you don't have to take notes. I will have a QR code at the end of this for you to scan to get this presentation, as well as you're welcome to that, as well as a few other resources that I mentioned in the presentation. So this is the AI advantage, how to go from overwhelmed to AI ready. So I think we can all agree that AI is everywhere, right? It's on our phones, it's on our computers, it's on bus benches. If you've been in New York recently, it's in the subway. It's everywhere, right? But we're constantly being told by Silicon Valley and the tech elites that this is going to change everything. But how many of you in the room have asked ChatGPT or Google Gemini what you thought was a simple question, but you got complete AI slap in return? Yeah? Some hands? Great. So my goal today, even the AV people, my goal today is simple. I'm here to give you practical and actionable advice for things and strategies you can take home and start implementing tonight. Okay? To do that, we're going to go through a few things. The 4 major phases of any AI transformation for a business or an individual. We'll start with the AI landscape. We're going to talk about where the tool is now, where the technology is, and what it's capable of. We'll also talk about what its strengths and weaknesses are, the limitations. And we're going to definitely have a focus on how to use it safely without compromising your business data. I know that's a big topic for a lot of people. Then we'll move into your AI toolkit. I'll teach you how to master the art of talking to it and having a conversation with prompting, being able to effectively manage your conversations and get what you're looking for out of this tool. Then we'll also show you how to build a custom AI assistant that is tailored specifically to you and your team's needs. Then we'll move into AI in action. I'm going to show you a hands-on demo of my favorite workflow that saves me, 8, 9, 10 hours a week on one particular task. We'll do all that in Google Gemini. And then we'll go into your AI roadmap. So how to make your business and your organization AI ready. Finally, we'll wrap it up, tie all the concepts together, and then open the floor up for some Q&A. Sounds good? Yeah. Excellent. All right. So I always like to do a little icebreakers when I do these talks. I'm going to ask you 4 questions. Please keep your hands up. Who's using an AI tool right now? Man, I love this. Also, big thank you for everyone who filled out the survey before this. A lot of you filled it out, about 200 people or so. And when I got the responses, all of the things that you guys asked for was already in this presentation. So great. Right? So next question. Of those who are using the AI tool, who feels that they are a beginner? Raise your hands. Who do you feel like you're a beginner user of the tool? Okay? All right. Who feels that they're an intermediate? All right. Who feels that they're a power user? Where are my power users at? A few. Excellent. Okay. So what we're going to do here is I want you to ask ChatGPT what it knows about your business. Has anybody done anything like this? A few folks. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So for everybody else in the room, I'm going to follow along. I want you to pull out your phones and open ChatGPT. We're going to ask this question. I'm going to do it with you. Ooh, I hear a lot of muttering. You don't have to share your results. So you're only going to see my results. Okay? So I'm going to do it with you, but I want you to enter in this prompt. Based on everything you know about me and our past conversations, what is one thing that I can work on to grow my business that I'm not doing now? So I'm going to paste this. And we're also going to do several live demos. And if you've ever done any presentations or tech demos, it's kind of a notorious thing that technology goes sideways when you least expect it, right? So thankfully, we're off to a good start. So I've done this, obviously, a few times before when I prepared for this speech today. And what ChatGPT is saying here is that we need to build a productized AI consulting system. And it's absolutely correct, because we work with a lot of high-touch clients. All of our projects that we're working with our clients currently are very customized, hands-on, and specialized to their individual business. It's not a scalable model for us. So on the roadmap for 2026 is we are trying to build a productized AI system, whether that's an actual platform, version of our training, whatever it's going to be. So we already kind of knew this. This is on the edge of our periphery, right? But this is a great way to get a pulse check, because you're providing all of these subconscious cues, and ChatGPT is able to connect the dots in ways that you are not able to. So what's cool about this is that I can now go through and start having a brainstorm with ChatGPT. It's outlined what the product should be and give me some ideas, so I can now take this and kind of run with it and use my own skill set to flesh this out and start building our version of a productized system. Did anybody have anything fun that came through, or anything unexpected? You don't have to shout it out. You can if you want to. No? Okay. Boss Energy. For the product? All right.
No, that's my marketing brand, apparently.
Oh, okay. All right. Excellent. So that's fun. All right. So we're going to start with being on a level playing field and understanding what is the jargon around this industry. Does anybody, are you all tech people? Do you understand some of this jargon, or are you just sick of it and it just flies right over your head, right? I hear that so much, right? So let's talk about common definitions and functions so you understand and you know what you're looking at and what you're working with. The first thing that we're going to start with, very simple, please keep in mind, we have a very wide room of expertise levels, and believe it or not, there are a ton of people who have not even used ChatGPT or any of the other AI tools, so we don't want to exclude anybody. We're going to start with the first one, which is a prompt. A prompt is anything that you are putting in to a large language model to have a conversation. Prompts don't have to be instructions. They don't have to be questions. Your prompt is essentially your starting point and your text you're communicating with the AI. A pro tip for this is that a good prompt is clear and concise, but it contains adequate context enough to give the AI model everything that it needs to answer your question or to do its job effectively. The next thing is multimodality. AI models are able to send and receive information in multiple different ways. So you can see here on the image, they can take in text, they can also read images, they can understand audio, and some of them can read video as well. On the flip side of that, they can produce text, audio, images, and video. Currently, ChatGPT and Google Gemini are the only models capable of video. Code is also in there, but I did not include that in the graphic. The next thing is memory. Some of these models have a memory, as we've just determined with ChatGPT. They will remember things about you. One of the things I want to highlight here is that ChatGPT is a platform. Google Gemini is a platform. The memory functions are built in the platform. So if you use ChatGPT to power an automation or your application, the underlying technology does not have memory. That is a specific function to the platform itself, right? If you go buy an engine and you want to build a car, you have to put the interior in, right? You would be putting the memory in the interior. It's a bad analogy, but you get it. The next thing here is tokens. Language models don't understand words like we do. They assign words numerical values and then try to recreate the values based off of what's similar in your prompt. So you can see here that one token is roughly three quarters of a word, depending on which model you're using, which company, whatever else. So in the graphic here, you can see the top line, it's almost all one token. But down here at the bottom, starting with sequences, you can see that's split into two tokens. So a rough rule of thumb is that one token is approximately 3/4 of a word. The reason why tokens are important is because there is only so much information that you can provide to ChatGPT and the other models at any one time, and that's called the context window. And that is the maximum number of tokens that you can put at any one time. This is the working memory that an AI model has for a single chat. For ChatGPT, that's 400,000 tokens. It's roughly around 1,000 pages of a book. For Google Gemini, it's 1 million tokens. It's around 2,000 pages. So why is this important? And why do I always like to include this? I have a lot of people tell me that, oh, I've trained ChatGPT, I've got one conversation, I've dumped all of my books, all of my documents, all of my business information. I talk to it every single day and I'm just loading that chat up. It's trained so well, it knows exactly everything about my business. Well, if you're doing this, please stop doing it now. That's not actually how it works. So if you've been doing this since January of this year, and you're tossing in hundreds of pages of your documents, whatever else, every day, it has forgotten what you put at the top of that conversation. I don't know if you can see this, but right next to context window, that little image there, the pointer doesn't work, the context window will slide down when it's full. And when it slides down, what happens is that it does this kind of smart summarization of what has happened in the conversation prior. And then it puts that in the context window. And then the rest of it, it literally forgets it. It's no longer a part of the conversation. So you can see if you've had one chat that has been running all year and you're just dumping documents into it, it's forgotten all of that. So don't do that if you're doing it currently. I'll show you some other techniques on how you can change that. Okay, so let's talk about what are the capabilities of generative AI right now. I want you to think about generative AI as this incredibly smart intern that has read the entire internet and all the books that they could get their hands on. But they actually have no real-world experience. So they lack a little bit of common sense. To talk about where we're going next, I want to give you an idea of old AI versus new AI. So AI has actually been around in some form or fashion since the 50s. Who was aware of that AI has been around since the 50s? A couple of folks, right? Not what we think about with ChatGPT today. This is machine learning, predictive algorithms, things like that. But for this talk, in this presentation, we're going to talk about old AI being ChatGPT 3.5, the thing that launched nearly 3 years ago in November of 2022. That is the first mainstream version of generative AI that we've ever seen. The technology, GPT, Generative Pre-trained Transformers, was created actually by Google in 2017, but it was too much of a risk for them to release, so they kind of shelved it. Then OpenAI came on the scene and took it further. So with old AI, with GPT 3.5, single modality, text inputs only, no PDFs, no Word documents, no images, none of that. Right? We had to copy and paste it into the chat. It also had similarity-based answers. So the way that GPT, Generative Pre-trained Transformers, work is that it is trained on a bunch of data on the internet, and it's a very sophisticated word prediction engine. So it is trying to guess the next most likely set of words in your sentence based off of your prompt and all of its training data. It's trying to see what it's seen in its training data before and give you an answer based on that. Finally, old AI didn't have any tools, so we couldn't connect anything, we couldn't connect our business data, we couldn't browse the internet, anything like that. So old AI, it was great, but it lacked a lot of things. So new AI, where we are currently, we've made some pretty massive improvements over the technology over the last 3 years. And the first thing that I want to talk about is advanced reasoning. Who here has used a reasoning model or knows what it is? Wow. Okay, I would have expected a little bit more. That's totally fine. A reasoning model basically means that it's going to think a lot more, and it's going to give you answers not based on what it's seen in its training data, but it will go through and have its own thought process, its own inner monologue. If anybody kept up with the news, around this time last year, OpenAI introduced the first reasoning model, and the internet was ablaze with the same headline for about 2 weeks. If you ask ChatGPT 4.0, how many R's are in the letter strawberry? It would get the answer wrong. Did anybody hear that story or saw that? Kept track of it, right? The reason why is because it couldn't think. It was just trying to spit out an answer. And most likely what happened is that strawberry got split in two in that tokenization process. So it was missing how many R's were in the letter strawberry. But now with these reasoning models, we're giving them room to think. So you and I, when you ask us a question, to come up with an answer, what we'll do, we'll think about it, and we'll say, all right, well, if he's asking me this, I got to consider this, and I think that's, so we have a train of thought, right? We're essentially doing the same thing with the AI models, and we're giving them space and time to think about and reason through the process to arrive at an answer. So when you ask a reasoning model, how many R's are in the word strawberry, it might take an approach like this. There's one R in the word straw, there's 2 R's in the word berry. That's 3 R's in total, the answer must be 3. If you use a reasoning model, and GPT-5 is a reasoning model, Gemini 2.5 Pro is a combination of a reasoning model and a traditional LLM. If you see where it says thinking, and it does this little spinny wheel, if you click that, it will expand, and you can actually see underneath the hood and watch this language model go through its internal thought process. And it's really cool to kind of watch that happen. You start to understand how these things work, how they think, how they arrive at conclusions, and that's going to help you better understand and word and phrase your future questions. If you're able to view and watch how they're thinking about what answers you've provided to them or what questions you've asked, you're going to start to get better at creating your own prompts. The next big advancement was tool integration. So being able to connect AI, ChatGPT, all these different things to our business tools. That's a big deal, right? Over the course of the last 3 years, we slowly started to make improvements. We gave them the ability to connect to external APIs. If you're not aware of what an API is, it's the communication tool or channel that software talks to each other in. But APIs are, you have to build an API for everything that you want to do. So let's say you want to try to do 10 things in Google Drive. You have to build 10 API connections. And when you're doing that with AI, you also have to tell ChatGPT how to use these connections. So you're doing a lot of stuff just to make one thing happen. But now we have something called MCP, Model Context Protocol. And what this is basically, you can think about this as the USB-C of AI. It's this universal connector. So instead, if you want to do 10 actions in Google Drive, instead of having to create 10 API calls, you make one Google Drive MCP, and that has all the information inside of that tool to execute all the functions in Google Drive. So you don't have to make multiple connections. The last thing here is video creation. Who has seen AI video recently? Yes. So still a fair few that have not. So if you're not aware, ChatGPT and Google VO, ChatGPT's Sora model and Google VO are now capable of creating ultra lifelike and realistic videos based off of a text prompt. This video is a GIF, so that's why the quality is not quite there. But to create this video, what I said was create a video of conference goers for BizX doing an interview. And all that I gave it was the BizX 2025 logo. That's it, in that sentence. And this is what it created. These are some examples of AI-generated videos from creators around the internet. None of this is real. It is moving at a staggering pace. Video specifically, as well as imagery, is moving at a pace that we're not able to really comprehend. So you need to be looking at this and starting to understand, how can I roll this into my business practices? Do I need to create social videos? Do I need to create product videos, explainers? These tools will let you put your likeness into the video and recreate yourself. I'm in this space all the time, right? This is what I do. I follow a lot of people in the space on social media, and one of the creators that really leaned in heavily to AI video, I scrolled and I saw a video of her walking across her hotel room, as she does for a lot of conferences, and then her suitcase exploded with pink glitter. I had no idea until the suitcase exploded that the video was AI generated. So buckle up, it's coming. This is the worst that it will ever be today. So I would encourage you to continue your education and stay up to date with what's happening in this field, because it will impact all of us. Okay, so now let's talk about some strengths. I'm going to start basic, right? Content creation and ideation. It's difficult to create content. If you're a writer in the room, you know how much of a struggle it is to look at the blinking blank cursor on the screen when you need to create something. It's difficult, right? It's challenging. But now all we need to do is have a conversation with AI. I need to do this, but I'm not really sure how to get started. Or my business coach told me I need to create a business plan, but I've never written a business plan before in my life, and they kind of hung me out to dry. Get a different business coach. Action coach is your one to go with, right? So all you have to do is have a conversation with it. And it says, all right, well, you want to create a business plan? What about this? What about this? What about this? And it will help you get over that initial hump of getting started and creating content. Some examples of this, obviously very low-hanging fruit with drafting blog posts, ad copy, social captions, campaigns, A/B testing of email, things like that. Operations, internal communication documents, policies, frameworks, legal documents, things like that. AI is also really good at content transformation and repurposing. So we live in a world, in a society now, where with the internet, we are being inundated with information. And it's because we have to compete with everyone else that's trying to also market their business, because the barrier to entry is on the floor with the internet, right? So we are having to produce a staggering amount of content to be able to get our brand and our name shown. This is a pretty wild statistic, but we see about 75 gigabytes of data that we process every single day in our brains. That is more information in a single day than someone several hundred years ago would consume in their entire lifetime. That's roughly true, right? So if you're struggling to keep up with the amount of content that you have to create, AI is a really great starting point for you, right? If you have product descriptions, existing product information, anything like that, you have the ability to go to AI and say, I have this. How can I transform this to create multiple different pieces of content to support my product? To make sure that my client or my customer, if you are truly looking out for your customer's best interest, you are trying to deliver the most complete and comprehensive experience that you possibly can to remove any need for them to go and look at anybody else in your competition, but to go anywhere else but you. What else can you create from this to help me dominate my market? So a couple of examples of this, if you're in HR, right? Let's take this SOP and let's turn it into a handout and a checklist. And then after that, let's draft an email explaining to the team why we're updating this SOP, what changes we made, and why we're doing it this way. If you're in sales, let's take this client proposal, let's turn it into an internal summary and a delivery roadmap for the fulfillment team, so that they know that the sales team has sold this, and here's exactly what's going down, and how they should then take this and start fulfilling the order. So AI is great at transformation. The next thing is summarization and synthesis. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like to read an 80-page PDF if I only need information on 2 pages of it. So let's get in the habit of using AI to summarize and condense the information that we need to save time and to stop reading stuff that's irrelevant that we don't need, right? Ask for the information that you need most in your preferred format of receiving information, and you're on your way. A couple of examples here. Put these competitor reports into a comparison table and see how we stack up in the market. For customer support, summarize all of these support tickets and identify if there are common issues or trends that are making an impact on our customer base. What can we do to change those? How can we improve this? The next thing is language transformation and adaptation. So I'm so guilty of this. How many of you just had a bad day sometimes, and then somebody sends you an email, text message, whatever else? Maybe it's something you told them about last Tuesday. Maybe it's something that they didn't do, and now they're asking for it again, and it just hits the wrong button and sets you off. And you just immediately pull out your phone and start typing that message back to them. Maybe it's a little bit more heated than you might have wanted. This is me. I have a 30-second delay on my email for this specifically. Pull it out, go to ChatGPT, say, what do you think about this email? And it will probably say, you're coming on a bit strong. I might suggest you reword this in this way, and it will give you a better version of it. So translating that, turning it, tone shifting, things like that. But it's also really good for translations. So maybe you want to go into a different market, or you're planning to do that next year, but you haven't quite gotten the team in place to support that. And you don't necessarily speak the language in this market. You're not fluent in it. But what you can do, you can use AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, Google, whatever else, to start translating your website, to start rewriting your marketing content, to start planning out your campaigns in that market. That's a great use case for it. If you travel, or if you work with people who speak primarily another language, if you've ever used ChatGPT Advanced Voice Mode, that is a godsend for you, right? Who's used Advanced Voice Mode in ChatGPT? A few folks. If you frequently speak with someone who English is not their first language, try this out. Pull out your phone the next conversation, turn on advanced voice mode with ChatGPT and say, anything you hear in English, translate to Spanish. Anything you hear in Spanish, translate to English. It is real time. You can interrupt it at any point, no matter what time, and it will immediately enable you to have that conversation with that person in their native tongue, right? It is a much better experience than Google Translate and other things that you might have seen before, so if you're in that area of expertise, I would highly try it out. The last thing here is knowledge retrieval and question answering. So I don't know about you guys, but it is incredibly convenient for me to be able to go and ask Gemini for anything that I might need to know about our business data and get an answer. No matter how obscure it is, whatever, all I have to do is go to Gemini and say, look in my Gmail or look in my Google Drive or Docs. What did I say about this? What did the client say about this? And get a specific answer with citations for me to be able to go and check up on that further. I used that today. One of our clients is including us on an RFP, and they wanted us to provide my resume. I've owned my business for 6 years. I don't know when the last time I updated my resume was, but I did create something similar last year when I worked with the UAE Presidential Court, and I was able to take that and reformat it into a current resume for myself. So a couple of examples here. Search my Google Docs and Google Drive to find out what the deadline is for phase 3 of our project with this client. There was a lot of back and forth in my Gmail last week about this task. Summarize that and propose action items and follow-up points. Right? So having the ability to go and question our business data is incredibly useful. All right, so we went through the strengths. Now let's talk about the limitations. I'm going to give you a little good with a little bad, right? So currently, AI does not have common sense. As I mentioned earlier, smartest intern you've ever had, no real-world experience. I will preface this by saying that this is changing a little bit with the reasoning models, and as the technology matures and gets smarter and smarter, it's going to start to grow and continue from there, right? But right now, it still needs a thorough amount of context. We experience the world here in 3D, right? AI models don't. They just learn from what they've seen on the internet. So if we're standing here and we're having a conversation and we're talking about this stage over here, and we ask a question, we're able to look and see all the things, the context that is surrounding that conversation. The AI model is not going to be aware of that. It doesn't have that sense. It's not going to be able to connect the dots between the two. So it's important that you are including all of the context that you need for the AI to do the job effectively, right? Don't leave out any of the key nuance or details. The next thing is that AI models will lie with authority. Thank you for laughing at that. So there is no incentive for an AI model to say, I don't know. That's not what they were trained on. In fact, this is actually something that's happened within the last month or so, is that AI researchers have now started to look at, well, there is actual value into telling an AI that it can say, I don't know, in certain scenarios when it doesn't know the answer. And instead of giving it a good score, it's going to give it a partial credit, right? We have partial credits in math and school. Let's do the same thing for AI models, right? And you can also take this a step further when you're working with AI and you're doing a prompt and you're not sure if it's going to get it or not. You can say, it's okay to say, I don't know. There's no judgment. You don't have to include that part, but it will lie to you with authority, right? Because there's no reason and there's no incentive for it to say, I don't know. What you want to do here is that I want to make sure that you are always working with the tool and verifying what information is coming out of it to make sure that it's absolutely the truth, especially if you are asking it about things that you are not a subject matter expert for, right? I'm a subject matter expert for digital marketing. I know a lot about digital marketing. If I ask it about that topic, I'm going to be able to spot if it's lying or not. I don't have any expertise in Excel spreadsheets. So I'm really relying on what ChatGPT is going to tell me there. You don't want to be like Deloitte, who in the last 2 months has had to pay over 7 figures to 2 different government entities because they used AI hallucinations in work that they did with them. You don't want to be that person that gets caught copying and pasting information out of ChatGPT, especially if it's wrong. The next thing here, limitations, inherited bias. Because these models are trained on the internet, There's a lot of bias on the internet, right? From all different corners of the world. We have to take that data from the internet and we have to clean it. We have to prepare it to be able to put into these models to train them. The people who do that, the data scientists, they have their own inherent biases and their own inherent leans of how they view the world. We have our own inherent biases in the world, right? So when we ask questions, we may inject that bias there. That's all fine. This is all okay. But the core of this message is that I want you to be able to understand and think about this critically. When you're working with one of these tools or you're getting an output out of AI, if you're not doing it currently or if you're not really thinking critically a lot, you need to start thinking critically about it. Challenge your perspective, challenge your understanding to see, is this actually true? Or is this something that I have pushed on it? Because if you're not aware, there's a lot of evidence out there that supports this, but AI is like a mirror, right? It learns about you, it learns your behaviors, preferences, things like that. It's going to repeat that back at you. So make sure that you're looking at things with a human lens and you're thinking critically about this. I say all of this to say that these are not deal breakers by far, not far from it. They're just guardrails to keep in mind so that when you're working with AI and you're creating content, you're aware of this and you don't get caught with an egg on your face. Okay, so now let's talk about the elephant in the room. This is the #1 question that I get all the time. Is my data safe? The answer is, it depends. So I'll use a busy restaurant analogy to explain this. So if you're using free tools, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, whatever else, if you're using any of those free tools, you can think about it like you're having a working lunch inside of a busy restaurant. You're sitting there with your partner, you're going over a new product launch, things like that. Somebody could overhear you in the booth next door, and they could take action on it before you can. It's unlikely, but it could happen, right? The same thing could happen with free tools like ChatGPT and Gemini and any of the other ones. When it's free, you are the product, right? So don't put any sensitive data that you don't want shared in the free tools unless you've turned off the controls to lock that down. But if you're using the paid version, my clicker's going out, sorry. If you're using the paid version, or if you're using the API integrations, they have policies and protections in place that guarantee that your information stays in your private boardroom as if you were meeting in your office, and it's not being used to train data in the future, right? I am not a lawyer. Most importantly, I am not your lawyer. So be sure that you are confirming all the details of the privacy policy with OpenAI, any of the other ones, with your legal team and making sure that they feel comfortable using these tools. I will say this, that you already have your data in Google Drive, OneDrive, Box, any of those, they already have it, right? If you are with Google and all of your data is in Google Drive, it's already there. It doesn't really harm you to use Google Gemini because it's in the same ecosystem. And they have these protection policies in place that a lot of companies across the world are using. So if they are lying about this, or if they are kind of double dealing, right? If you can call back to Facebook around Cambridge Analytica, that scandal, right? There is a big incentive for them not to use this data moving forward because these companies would cease to exist if they did, right? So you can feel relatively confident that they will uphold their privacy policy, but it's up to you. There are tools, there are very easy ways in which you can host a local language model on your servers, on your machines, that fully cuts it off from the outside world and allows you to use this tool using sensitive regions, categories, financial data, PII, anything like that, with no scarcity or no issue of that getting leaked to anyone else. A golden rule here is that if you wouldn't put this on your company website, don't put it into a free public AI tool. Just rough rule for thumb. So now I've taught and told you how you can be aware of this, but what about your team? Maybe you are anti-AI. Who is not using AI and does not want to use it in the room? One person, 2 people, okay. All right, you two, if you are business owners, I can almost guarantee that if you have told your employees not to use it, they probably are gonna use it anyway. And just like kids, right? So even if you don't want to use it and you're against it, put something in place so that they have proper guidelines and instructions on what they can use, what they can't use, and what information they can and cannot put into these tools. That way, at least you're giving them some guidance and guidelines of what is appropriate and what's not appropriate. So again, I'm going to have a QR code for you to scan for this. We have a template that we provide to our clients and anyone else. It is just a simple template blanket company AI usage policy. It has yellow highlights for you to fill in your information and put extra information there based on your business. So use this as a starting point for your AI usage policy. Okay, so let's now talk about how to create effective prompts. Prompt engineering in late 2023, early 2024 is something that we thought was going to be the next $500,000 career, and that we thought everybody was going to be moving towards that. It turns out that as the models got more capable and more intelligent, that's not so much the case anymore. But it is still important for us to be able to understand what prompt engineering is and how to do it, because whether we're using tools to provide prompts for us or we're using copy-paste prompts off the internet, we need to be able to understand how to adjust it, how to edit the outputs, and change what we're asking for if the quality of the output isn't what we're looking for. So we're going to use a general framework called the role method as a starting point. So when we're doing the role method in prompt engineering, we want to start by giving it a role. So ChatGPT and the other language models, they're very broad generalists. They are trained on a ton of information to do a lot of different things. So that means that if you ask it a general question, it's going to give you a general answer. But when you ask it to adopt a role or a persona, you are narrowing the focus of where it's pulling its information from. So I always love to use this example. If you ask a chef to write a press release, he might be able to go to Google and whip things up, but it's probably not going to be great. But if you asked a PR specialist to write that same press release, they're going to nail the formatting, they're going to know exactly what to put in it and how to write it. So give it a role and narrow its focus. A couple of examples here: act as PR specialist, act as a strategic planner, act as a digital marketing director. And if you've been looking or searching for prompt stuff on the internet, and you've got, maybe who's bought one of the 12,000 prompt packs that's floating around on Instagram or Facebook? Nobody? A couple people? Yeah. So you might have seen that in some of those prompt templates, they have 6 adjectives before they get to the actual role. You are a world-class, 10 times award-winning PR specialist that's got to focus in content writing, whatever. You only need 1 adjective. That'll be fine. You don't need all the superlatives for it, okay? So you can keep it as simple as stating the job title, subject of expertise, or the niche. So the next thing is output. Once we've defined what the role is going to be, now we want to tell the AI model what is the type of output that we're looking for, right? So be explicit when you're looking for this. Do you want specific writing formats? Do you want paragraphs? Do you want tables, bullet points, lists? What do you want? Include that in your prompt so the AI knows exactly how to give you a response in what format. So once you've identified what the output is going to be, we've told it what we do want, now let's tell it what we don't want. So what are the limitations that we don't want in our prompt or in our response, right? Keep your responses to 160 characters or less. Don't use emojis. If you've asked ChatGPT to write social captions for Instagram, Instagram is like a buzzword. It loves to drop in 30 emojis when you do that. So don't use emojis, right? Only from the first person point of view. Do not include citations in your responses, right? So tell it what you do want, and then tell it what you don't want. Now we're kind of done with the meat of this, and everything else is extra. It's lagniappe. I'm from Louisiana, it's lagniappe. So this is everything else that you didn't include before. So context is king here, right? You want to be putting in examples of output formatting, any references or links. A lot of these models, almost all of them now, can browse the internet. So if you want to drop a link in there, it'll go read that web page and grab that for the context. You might also want to include the reading comprehension level. If you're not aware, the majority of the US reads at an 8th to 10th grade reading comprehension level. So a good exercise for you tonight is to go to ChatGPT, put in your website, and say, what reading comprehension level does my website read at? And if this does not line up with your ideal customer audience, you have homework to do. Right? So now all of our extras here, context is king. Make sure you have everything that you possibly could at the end of this. And you might want to separate this with the next part, which is to keep the prompt clean. So if you're writing a ton of information, your prompts are big, we as humans don't like to read single-space text for 30 pages, right? We want to see some formatting. We want to see some page breaks. AIs are similar in the fact that they like long and complete sentences. I don't know about you, but I don't like to talk to people who are all over the place and spazzing out and jumping back and forth between different topics. AI is the same way. When you're writing a prompt, do one full and complete thought before moving on to the next one. So it's not ambiguous on what you're asking for. And when you're done with your first complete thought, you can put in what's called a delimiter. A delimiter is any 3 iterations of a character that's not naturally occurring in the rest of the text, and that's a signal to the AI that this is a separate section. This is a separate piece of information from this section, right? It serves as a visual indicator for us when we're seeing a wall of text. We get a little relief and break, and it also does the same thing for the AI. You want to do this at the end, the beginning and the end of your prompt, depending on what you're doing. So I'll kind of shift over here a little bit. You can see this is an example of the delimiter in the prompt. I have the first full, complete thought at the top. Then I have a page break and my 3 delimiters. Then I have my next complete thought in the middle, and then a page break, 3 more delimiters, and then my final command at the bottom there. This is an example of how you would use delimiters properly in an AI model. So once you're done with all of that, there's 2 statements that you can ask or make a statement at the end of your prompts to take it to the next level. The first one is, your task is to do this. Confirm your comprehension by outlining your plan before you start writing. So if you've worked with ChatGPT or another AI and you asked it to do something for you and it misinterpreted what you're looking for, it went off and ran in a completely different direction, and you had to correct it and get rid of all that nonsense, right? So it's annoying when it does that. When you ask this question, what you're doing is giving yourself a break and confirming where the AI is thinking or understanding what you're asking for. So if it provides something that isn't in line with what you're looking for, you have the opportunity to say, nope, I didn't want you to do that. I wanted you to do this instead. And in addition to that, do this, this, and this. So you can add additional information. Speaking of additional information, this is the second question. Do you need any additional information from me in order to do your job more effectively? So if you've done a good job of putting all the context in and providing all the necessary information that it could possibly need, you're probably good. But if you ask this, it could say, well, you've given me a lot of good information. I think I can definitely do the task, but could you provide the answers to these questions? And it will list out a row of questions for you to answer. And if you answer those questions, it now has extra information in order to do its job, what you're asking for, right? So these 2 questions are incredibly powerful for maintaining your control over the conversation and making sure that you are providing as much information as possible to get a good quality output out of AI. So again, I'm going to give you this at the end. We have some bonus resources here. OpenAI has an academy. Actually, all of the major labs have academies teaching people how to do this. But the OpenAI Academy has AI prompt packs for ChatGPT. So it's prompts for sales, prompts for marketing, prompts for HR and accounting, things like that. Anthropic has something similar with Anthropic Academy. Very similar, but they're teaching you how to best use Claude for business, personal, as well as enterprise use cases. Here's the link for that, if my clicker will work. And then finally, Deep.Learning.AI is one of the premier resources to teach people how to use AI effectively, both if they have a technical expertise or if they're just business users. Okay? So those are 3 resources for you to use and take home tonight. All right. So we're going to do one of my favorite AI workflows live. Please keep in mind, this is a live demonstration. I've done it several times. Let's hope it keeps going today. So what we're going to do here is we're going to show you how I do one of my favorite AI workflows, which is to take our meeting transcripts and our meeting notes and to turn that into a complete proposal package using Google Gemini. We're also going to utilize some of the tools inside of there to schedule a meeting, schedule a follow-up task, and then draft the email. So who's transcribing their meeting? Who's recording their meetings currently with a note taker? Okay. Are you doing something? Are you doing anything with those transcripts? Are you coming back? So a couple people, right? The amount of times that I have heard people say, I really enjoyed your proposal because you really nailed exactly what we talked about in the meeting, and I felt like our message was heard. That's something that I've done my entire career, but now I can do it even easier because I have the meeting transcript to go back to and reference at a later date. So it also allows me to be more focused and present, and when I do take notes, I'm able to take much more strategic notes alongside of that. I don't have to worry about trying to capture everything in the meeting. So this is the workflow, right? We're going to create the proposal, we're going to schedule a meeting, we're going to create tasks, and then we're going to draft an email, putting all of this stuff together. All right, work with me here. So we're going to take this prompt, review the meeting transcript and notes attached, evaluate what was said in the meeting and the notes, and we're going to create a proposal out of it. So we'll go into Gemini, and we will paste this prompt in, and then I have files I'm going to add from Google Drive. It's this one, the transcript, and the meeting notes. So we're going to use the smarter model, and this is going to take about 30 seconds. So while it's doing this, I'm going to walk you through exactly what's in here. So this is our proposal framework. This is just essentially a document that we have that outlines everything that we put in all of our proposals. So you can see we have title and company information and a couple of bullet points about what to put there: executive summary, project overview, services, the timeline, costs and pricing, next steps, things like that. And then from here, we also included the discovery call transcript, right? This is actually a fake transcript that Claude recreated from an existing client. It made 22 pages in one go. I was kind of shocked it did that much. That was pretty awesome. So this is all the transcript that it sanitized for me. And then finally, the last thing that I have here is my targeted meeting notes that I took from that call. So what it's done here is now evaluated all that transcript and meeting notes as well as the proposal framework, and it started to build the actual proposal. So we have our title, our heading information, executive summary. We've got the project overview, specific goals and objectives, approach and methodology, services, the timeline, as well as training and support, and the cost and pricing. So this is all in line with what I actually put together for this client. So now let's do this. I want to take this and I want to schedule a meeting. So we're going to tell Gemini, create a Google Calendar invite, and this is where things might go a little sideways. We're going to use the less intelligent model, so it doesn't take quite as long. But we're asking it to create a Google Calendar invite for Thursday at 2 p.m. and to title it Aquabottle AI Proposal Review, and to use a concise summary for the description. So we've got our confirmation here. Here is the confirmation in Google Calendar. If I went over here and looked at it, here is the proposal. You can see I did this several times today in preparation. So here's the meeting for this, okay? So let's go back, and we're going to do the next thing, which is to create a task for me to go and review this proposal on Wednesday at 5 p.m. so I don't have egg on my face when I meet with the client the next day. So create a Google task for me to review the Aquabottle AI proposal, due Wednesday at 5 p.m. Just like that, it has created a task in Google Tasks. We can open this up, and here it is. Review the Aquabottle AI proposal. So let's do one last thing, and we're going to draft an email to deliver the proposal to the client, including meeting details and a high-level summary of the deliverables. And while it does this, let's hope that it doesn't open a canvas. Great. Perfect. So now, here's the email. Hey, Michael. Great speaking with you. It was great to understand your vision and what you're looking for. Here is the high-level proposal summary with all the details, and then the proposal review meeting here. And what's cool about this is that Gmail, or Google, has added a recent feature to Gemini. If you go to this Share and Export button, we can draft this in Gmail, and here, all we have to do is make a couple of minor edits because they're still working on this. They don't have the subject line, and they also include some irrelevant information here. So now, I have a full email ready to rock and roll. All I need to do is drop in the proposal link or the attachment, and I can send this directly to the client. So to recap this process legitimately takes me at least an hour to do if I'm doing it without the assistance of AI, and I did this in under 10 minutes. Honestly, I think it was under 5 minutes, but you can see how much this actually takes off of my plate. And if I'm working with the AI tool, I have done this a lot, so I know that this process works very well for us. But if you go through and do this and you're working hand in hand with the AI tool, you get to control exactly what gets put out and exactly how the information gets manipulated. So use this as an enhancement. We're trying to leverage ourselves. We're trying to make ourselves 10 times more productive. This is the tool to do it, right? How many of you feel like you could use something like that in your life? Yes. All right, excellent. Is this good? You like that? Was that valuable? Excellent, cool. I know, what did we talk about tryptophan? I'm a huge turkey person. Like Thanksgiving, I'm out for 2 hours afterwards, so I feel you if you had turkey. All right, so we're back in the presentation here. Let's go back to presentation mode. And let's go here. So now we've created the proposal. We've done that full workflow. I want to now move into custom GPTs. Who knows what a custom GPT is? A few folks in the room. More than a few. Excellent, excellent, really great. Custom GPTs essentially are like the lowest hanging fruit for you to build your own digital employee. It is the lowest hanging fruit for getting real value out of AI as it stands right now without having to sink thousands of dollars into tech or consultants like me to help you do it yourself, right? So what are custom GPTs? First, this is like, there's no industry term for this. It's like Kleenex and Q-tip. That's not the actual term for those products if you're not aware, right? A custom GPT is a company-specific term for ChatGPT. It is a specialized version of ChatGPT or Google Gemini or any of the other tools that you have provided specific instruction for on how to do a specific task in a certain way. You can also upload specific information that it may not have in its training data to do its job that you're training it for. Google has their own version of it in Gemini, and it's called Custom Gems. Google calls them gems, ChatGPT calls them custom GPTs, Anthropic calls them projects. It is just a customized version of ChatGPT and Gemini that you are able to control its behavior and the knowledge that it has access to. So why are these so important? If we can find 3 to 5 tasks for everyone in our team that AI can help assist with and get a better output from, and we look at just a 10% efficiency gain, if we're getting 10% better with these custom GPTs across all the things that we're putting in place for, if we take the average of 180 hours worked in a work week, a work month, excuse me, we can look at 18 hours saved per employee to do something that is not menial, to do something better with their time, to drive business forward, or to do something that they can enjoy, spend more time working with clients, spend more time doing personal touch and outreach that an AI is not well suited for. So custom GPTs are absolutely the lowest hanging fruit that you can be putting in place today, tonight, to help you get more value out of AI in your business. The process of creating a custom GPT is pretty simple, right? First, you want to identify the tasks that you want to do. I'll go back to the intern example here. Think about this process as if you're trying to train a new intern on how to do something in your business. First, you need to figure out what do we want the intern to do, right? What are the tasks that we think that they're capable of? And when you do this, I don't want you to look at it through the lens of it's all or nothing, right? The AI can't do this because there's too many steps, or it can do this, but it can't do that. When you're looking at your task, try to break down each of the individual steps that you take to do that task. And when you look at that, you can say, all right, well, AI can do 6 of the 10 things, so that's 60% of the task I am now saving with AI, right? We have to do a lot of manual work to get to a starting point for us to actually do the human labor. Let's let AI do the mundane stuff for us, right? So we start with identifying the tasks. When you do this, a really good trick here is, what are the things that you're going to ChatGPT for already that you're not consciously paying attention to? Start with those and then work backwards from there. Once you've identified what the tasks are, now you need to start collecting the data, right? We've figured out what we want our interns to do. Now we need to collect all the information for them to do their job effectively. So are there any documents or information? Is there SOPs, data sets that we have to work with? Is there framework documents that we use, just like I showed you with the proposal example? Collect all the information that the intern possibly needs to do its job, or do their job if we're talking about interns. Finally, we want to design the prompt. So we've gotten what the task is and the information needed to do the task. Now we actually have to tell them how to do the job, right? So write your prompts out with clear instructions, with purpose, limitations, and guidelines for tone, and how to handle sensitive information or complex scenarios. So build the prompt on how the GPT intern is going to be able to do the job effectively. That's it. That's more or less how you build a custom GPT. So let me show you the process of actually doing this. So what we're going to do here is, I don't know if you guys, are you serial networkers? Do you go to a lot of events and conferences, things like that? Yes, no? So chances are maybe you're pitching a product, maybe you've got something new, you've got follow-up information, and you meet 30 people. I don't want to write 30 emails. Do you want to write 30 emails? So let's build a GPT, a BizX 2025 networking GPT, in under 3 minutes to help us out with that, right? So here's a prompt. You're an assistant for Marcus at the AI Consulting Lab. Your job is to help write follow-up emails. You can see I have my delimiters there. And then in the middle section here is all some important links about stuff that we have for our clients. We've got practical use cases, our call scheduling calendar link, our speaker kit, website, and then we also have our AI audit. And then down at the bottom, I have an example, very simple example, of how to structure emails to use as references. So let's go build this. And what we're going to do is we're going to do this in Gemini, and I'm going to use Dale, who was just up here right before me, as my guinea pig. So we're going to take all of this, we're going to copy it, and we're going to paste it into Gemini. So here, we're going to go over to Gemini. In the menu section here, right, this is the menu, you're going to look for Explore Gems. And this is the custom GPT, the custom gem section that's provided by Google. You've got a few that are pre-made by Google here, and if you want to look more about these, you can do the show more, and here are some extra tools that Gemini is giving you. But if you want to create a new gem, here's the button. You're going to start with the name, and then your description. This is a gem to write follow-up emails. And then here you want, I broke the podium, that's my fault, sorry. And then here you want to paste your instructions. If you have knowledge files that you want to provide to this gem to do its job, you would put those there. A pro tip here, if you're a Gemini Workspace subscriber, if you are a Google Workspace subscriber, you have access to Gemini for free. There's no additional charge for this, so you don't have to pay for this subscription. It's already included. But if you use Google and you're in the Google ecosystem and you add a file from your Google Drive or your Google Docs, every time you make an update to that Google Doc, it will update here. So you don't have to go back and update your custom gem every time you change your knowledge file. That's just a pro tip. If you did this in ChatGPT, you would have to update it constantly. So we're going to save this, and then we're going to start a conversation. And Dale gave me his business card last night, so I'm going to use that as my example here. I'm going to upload this. You can see the image, right? There's the image. Write an email to Dale telling him it was great to talk to him last night, and I look forward to connecting further about how we can use AI in his business. Be sure to send the 25 practical AI applications and the call scheduling link. While it's doing its thing, so that tool that I just used is called Aqua Voice, and it's supposed to transcribe your words. Sometimes it'll actually write an email for you. So we're going to try this one more time. I want to create an email to send to Dale to thank him for his time last night, and be sure to include the link for the call schedule and the 25 practical AI applications. Perfect, there we go. All right, so we're going to use the fast one, and we're going to let it do its thing. So it's got an image of Dale's business card here with all of his information, and it's already got the instructions for how I want to be structuring these emails, and it has all of my links already. So here's the follow-up email to Dale. Hey Dale, it's great connecting with you. Really enjoyed our conversation, learning more about your work as managing partner. Language, right? Please be more descriptive for your email templates. As a follow-up, here are the links, the practical AI use cases, and the discovery call. Thanks again for connecting. I look forward to speaking with you soon. Right? And from here, right, all we have to do is go draft in Gmail, and it's going to open this up in a new Gmail draft, ready for us to make minor edits to, and then we can send it directly from here. So saves a lot of time when we're trying to create follow-up email. If you have a specific process, like I said, that you do multiple times per week that takes 30, 45 minutes or more, every single time you do it, consider creating a custom GPT for it. Right? Is this valuable? Yes, great, love that. Thank you for the vote of confidence. All right, we're almost done. We're nearing the end here. So the next thing that we want to talk about, as soon as we get the presentation here, is to get back where we were before. It's difficult to jump between tabs when doing this. Okay, so now, as we close this, we want to talk about how to become an AI-ready business. And again, you're going to have a copy of this. This chart that you may have seen in some other form or fashion is one of the results of our AI audit process. So we have a full product and service that we provide. It's an AI audit where we go in, talk to a bunch of people on your team, and then based on the conversations, we kind of suss out what are the opportunities for AI implementation for you. And we put them on this chart. So when you get this AI audit document and you start doing an internal audit for yourself, you want to be looking for the lowest hanging fruit with use cases that are either time sinks or quality risks. And you want to start mapping those out on this chart. And you want to start down in the bottom right, the green one. Those are high impact, low effort. And that can be something as simple as implementing a company-wide AI training to upskill everybody in the team. It could also be a simple chatbot that has your company SOPs. It could be customer service ticket to preliminarily answer any tickets that come in from your customers. Those are all examples of low effort but high impact use cases. Once you're done with outlining those, you want to shift your focus to the yellow quadrant, which is your big swings. So those are going to be the things that maybe this is an entire industry disruptor that you have the idea for, or you're uniquely positioned in your market to now leverage this AI to create an entirely new product and capture more market share. But that's going to take months, and it's going to take a lot of money to invest, right? You don't want to overlook the quick wins that can bring a lot of value in favor of your big swings. You want to be doing those in conjunction and in tandem with your quick wins so that you can keep momentum going. Over here on the left-hand side, essentially you can just ignore this part, right? This is just a visual indicator for you to be able to put things that don't matter, right? We don't want to do the gray. It's high effort, low impact. But we definitely don't want to do the red, which is low effort, low impact. So this is giving you a visual chart. And again, the document that I have here for this AI audit is pretty comprehensive. It's got a lot of questions for how you can go about interview your team, how to use this matrix framework, how to plot things, and then give you an idea of how you can start putting things in place in AI for your business. To start doing that, you want to start with building an AI-ready culture. And I'm very adamant when I work with people that we are not using AI to pad our profit margins. Sorry if you disagree with me. It's just going to have a massive impact on our entire world. It's already reshaping a lot of industries. We don't need to compound that further. And the way that we can do this and help combat this is to implement AI literacy education across our entire company, right? Empower your team with the foundational knowledge of how this works, how this technology works in your business, so that maybe you're sitting at the top and you're in a leadership position and you're feeling pressure from stakeholders, shareholders, people who have a vested interest in your company succeeding, and you haven't done anything with AI. If you don't know what you're doing with AI, you're probably sweating, right? But if you implement AI literacy training throughout your entire company and you give the knowledge and the power to the people that are actually making the wheels turn in your business, and they come up with a really awesome and unique way to do their job more effectively with AI, that's going to make you look excellent, right? So implement AI literacy education for your entire team, because not only is it going to help you, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, it's going to help them succeed as well. I've already said it multiple times. AI has completely reshaped the world in just 3 years. Imagine where it's going in the next 5. So we all need to be able to understand how the technology works so we can keep up and we don't get pushed out of our jobs in the future. We can adapt as society changes. And part of the way that we do that is we enhance creativity and decision-making. So I talked earlier about using AI to free up the mental bandwidth for the mundane, the routine stuff that we have to waste our brain power on to get prepared to do the actual thing that we love doing the most in our business, right? So use the tool to get rid of the routine and mundane tasks that drain our mental bandwidth. And lastly, I want you to reimagine your entire business process through the lens of AI. If you have done this, or if you have not, I would challenge you to do it again. because as these models are maturing and the technology is getting better, we are now starting to use AI to train the next AI model. It's becoming like this self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So that means that we're getting newer, smarter, and more capable models every 3 to 6 months. How long did it take for ChatGPT 4 and ChatGPT 5? Does anybody know? It was about a year and a half, right? They're already talking about GPT 6 coming out before the end of the year. And this is happening across all of the major providers. Gemini is about to drop their Gemini 3 probably within the next week or so. So these models are getting smarter every single day. And the message here is that if you think that AI can't do the task right now, it's not that it won't be able to do the task forever. So come back to it in 6 months' time, reevaluate that process. Always be challenging your assumptions and see, is there a new capability that can help me do this in the future? All right, we're almost done here. So to recap, we talked about the foundations, what it can and can't do, strengths and weaknesses, limitations and jargon. We went through and talked about how to have an effective conversation with prompting. And then we also built a custom GPT live in the room. And then I demoed my favorite workflow with creating a proposal. And then lastly, we talked about building an AI-ready culture and your roadmap. The biggest takeaway here is that AI is not about replacing people. It is about augmenting and enhancing them to make them 10 times more productive. I want to thank you again for your time and effort and your participation, as well as laughing at my jokes. If you want to scan this code, there's a form, fill it out. I will send you today's deck in digital version, this is on Gamma. This is gamma.app. If you are building decks, I highly recommend it. You can get an interactive link or a PDF version. We'll also include the audit discovery playbook, as well as a few other things that were inside of this deck already. Our contact information there, and we also do free half-hour discovery sessions. With that, again, I want to say thank you for all of your time, and if you have questions, you have 7 minutes and 16 seconds to ask them. Thank you. Yes?
All right, so are these still closed systems, meaning are all of these environments still closed, or are they open yet? And you don't have asking?
I'm close. Give me a little bit more. Are you saying that in terms of you're not able to integrate more technology into their systems? No?
No, I'm referring to these chat models. Are they, or these AI models, are they in a box by themselves, or are they already out there actively on the web today?
Yes, good question. So the question is, are the AI models like GPT, are they self-contained? Yes. ChatGPT is in its own box. There's no external influences. Only OpenAI has the ability to change and adjust things with that. They're not taking other people's chats or other web data that comes out every single day and assimilating that to then turn and give it to me or Juliet. That's not how it works. They are in control of their closed system. So in short, yes, it is still a closed system.
Is it behind then? Is it like behind a couple of months, days,
Yes.
weeks?
Yeah. So the question again is it behind? I didn't mention this, I usually do. All AI models have a knowledge cutoff date. So how up-to-date information they have from internet data. ChatGPT 5 is, I think, in like late 2024 is the last internet data it has access to, but they have all augmented this with search. So all of the major tools have the capability to search the web. ChatGPT is supposed to do it intelligently, so unless you specifically ask for it, it's like a hit or miss if it's going to give you a web search or not. So they are a closed system, and unless you prompt it or tell it to go search the web, it may not always get up-to-date information. Good question, though. Anybody else? Juliet?
What are your thoughts about how search engine is changing because of AI?
Yeah, great question. Somebody else asked me this. So the question is, what are the thoughts on how generative AI is impacting search engines? Yeah, it's going to be a problem. Google is already starting to feel the heat. ChatGPT launched their browser last week, and if you missed that, essentially they are letting you have this whole AI browser that does things for you, but when you ask it a question, it's actually pulling the top 10 results from Google directly in to ChatGPT in the list, like you would see from Google, with no ads. So if you're on a Mac, go download the ChatGPT browser, and you can get ad-free viewing of search results for whatever you want. There is no accepted consensus on how to best optimize for generative AI search results as of right now. Currently, the most widely accepted practice is that good SEO foundations, search engine optimization for traditional search engines, is good practice for AI search engines as well. We see a lot of traffic, mainly because the business name is the AI Consulting Lab. It was a conscious choice because I figured a lot of people would need AI consulting. But we also wrote all of our content with a human-centered focus, like a real human would read it. AI models give real human-like answers. So instead of keyword stuffing your websites, consider writing full sentences. So that's another tip that we've seen. But there's no accepted standard of practice for right now. But it is a good question. You, sir, in the green shirt.
Have you seen anyone implement like full agentic workflows at scale in a small medium business like using N8N or the new?
Yep. Yes. So I have, and we have actually helped our customers do something similar. So there's a big AI agents are a buzzword for 2025, right? Everybody that is remotely close to software or AI is touting AI agents, but a lot of times it's just really sophisticated automations that have AI built into them. What the labs, OpenAI, Google, consider an agent is just this general purpose thing that can do anything that you want in a virtual environment. But yes, we have implemented agentic solutions using N8N to do certain tasks. So we create a chat box or a specific input, and then we connect it to an agent with specific instructions that says you have the ability to send emails, you can reach into Jira to log customer tickets, you can answer customer tickets, you can update them, you can inform team members. So depending on what you're looking for, yes, we have seen real good examples of agentic workflows in kind of like tightened and specialized areas that have worked out really well. The key is you don't want to try to do too much at once. Make your AI agent handle 2 or 3 tasks and then build other agents for every other 2 or 3 tasks that you want. Group them together. Yes, sir?
Can you build a custom ChatGPT that maybe has a knowledge base of all your products and then embed that on your website?
Yep.
Through Gemini?
Yep.
Like I have Google Workforce.
Not quite. There is Gemini. They just launched Gemini Enterprise, which gives you a better, easier way to do that. But no, the question is, can you build a knowledge file of all your products and put it on your website? With Gemini, no, not with Gemini directly, but you can use a tool like N8N or other chat widget type providers and connect it to a backend which has that information and that can answer questions for you. We do something similar where we operate high level as a CRM, and it's connected to all of our business data. It can take inbound inquiries, and it can actually book people on the calendar for appointments to speak with us. So yes, you can do something like that pretty easily. Great question. Yes?
How can you make sure that a custom GPT doesn't get misaligned in its training when you deploy it across the organization and allow everybody to use it?
Extensive testing. So the question is, how can you make sure, essentially, a GPT does not go haywire and make some stuff up? The answer is extensive testing. There is no foolproof way to do this. There are some standard prompts and best practices that you can search for on the internet, which kind of like safeguard it against what's called prompt injection. So there can be bad actors that will go out and try to interact with your chatbot and to get it to force feed its instructions or its knowledge data or its information about your company. There's a very famous example of a Chevy dealership that somebody tricked to sell a Tahoe for $1, and they had to honor that. Poor execution on their part. So you'll have to look and see extensive testing, put some guardrails in the instructions for how it should behave in certain scenarios and what it should never, ever do. So there's no clean way to do it, unfortunately. Yes?
So I'm a Google Gemini user, and I pretty much use that exclusively. Is there another AI model that you would recommend for me to expand into? Like, do you recommend staying with one, or do you recommend like spreading your bets?
The question is, should you stay with one model or platform, or should you spread the love? It depends on your scenario. I will give you our personal use case. Since ChatGPT 5 came out and Gemini 2.5 Pro, I have been, anytime we're doing extensive workflows, I'm running them side by side to see what types of answers each one produces. And depending on which one I like better, that's what I go with. 9 times out of 10, recently, even with GPT-5, I'm going with Google. There is advantage to going with ChatGPT Because currently, Gemini for Workspace does not allow you to save your memories, so it cannot reference previous conversations. Really helpful for ChatGPT to be able to just ask it, what did we talk about last Thursday or whatever else, and use that. I wish that it would come into Gemini. It is available on the personal Gemini paid plans, but not the business plan just yet. There is a disadvantage of doing that. It's like, well, I talked about this last week. Which platform did I use? I don't remember naming it, things like that. So it's a really nuanced answer. It's going to depend. I personally have found a lot of success recently with Gemini, but I still do use ChatGPT, and I also use Claude as well because it's a really great writer. And for some reason, Claude nails my tone. So yeah, it just depends. Good question. Yes?
So using AI video generator for social marketing, is it protected? So it's not taking somebody's data, not data, but
Likeness?
likeness marketing, because I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
in one area.
So that's a real gray area. And if you keep up with the news on this, Warner Brothers, Disney, Nintendo have all sent very strongly worded letters to OpenAI recently to remove their content from their generation. They are working on evolving and developing processes and protocols for individuals to take down their likenesses, but there is nothing right now. It's kind of the Wild West at the moment. So no, there's no real protections for you. Yeah, I don't have a better answer.
Vice versa, for the big companies coming at you, I mean, what's that looking like? Just,
For creating the content or from taking it down? Yeah, you can do whatever you want to, essentially. If you're on the hook. OpenAI is essentially saying, we're not involved. You go after the people that are creating the content. So you are opening yourself up for legal action against that if you choose to do that. So yeah,
there's kind of no protection.
there's no protection as of right now, no. I think last question, I've got 30 seconds. I did get extra time at it. I don't know if they felt like that was great or not, but yes.
do a lot of document generation through Microsoft.
Okay.
And so what do you think about Microsoft Copilot?
Copilot is great in theory, not great in execution. If I have my choice, I'm not using Copilot, especially their agent builder, Copilot Studio. It's taken me like literally months to do a project that I could do in an afternoon with N8N using Copilot Studio. The actual Copilot platform inside of Microsoft itself is decent. It's not the same experience as ChatGPT, even though it uses the underlying technology as ChatGPT. It does have some advantages with creating PowerPoints, like Google Slides. You can't create full slides yet. It's coming out next week. With Gemini, you can do that with ease with Copilot. So similarly, the ability to analyze spreadsheets and get good quality data out of that, they have made a lot of really good updates with Excel recently for Copilot. But overall, as a whole, I wouldn't choose it myself. If my company has given it to me and I can't use anything else, I would feel confident using it if I know how to use it well. Okay? All right, I think that this is it. So thank you guys so much for your time. My name is Marcus. Have a great day. Ooh. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you.